Hey guys, I'm Dead Monk, and this is going to be my first proper video, and with any luck, it actually might be the first in a series. You never know, but since this is my first proper video, you'll have to forgive me on how I do everything. I'm still trying to learn everything. Please understand that I'm using a free version of Wondershare, so please I do apologise about the watermark along the bottom here, but as I said, I'm just using a free one. I have always been a big fan of nature. Okay, I have always been a big supporter of natural world. I grew up watching nature documentaries, the natural world, David Attenborough, all that, the walking with dinosaurs stuff and stuff like that. But when I was a kid, I played a game called the Tasmanian Tiger, and that's basically a very fun game. I played it a lot. Okay, it was one of my favourite games growing up. But it got me hooked on extinct animals, and that's what got me further along the line. And that's what the purpose of this problem, and the purpose, if you will, of this video is to discuss my understanding and my perspective on extinct animals, and most notably on the thylacine. There's been a lot of talk about it. It's by far the most famous extinct animal there is, besides the woolly mammoth and the dinosaurs, because the Tasmanian tiger is so heavily ingrained in the idea of it's not extinct, and that's what I want to talk about today. I want to go into everything. Now, if you like videos like this, please leave a like, and if you really feel like it, subscribe. And, forget a number of likes. I might do another video on another extinct animal that might possibly be out there, and my opinions on it. But this one is solely focused on the thylacine. Now, to start off, a couple of weeks ago, I read a article. I think it was like 1 or 2 weeks ago. An article propped up, and it was a suggestion because, as I said, I read a lot of natural world, and it propped up on a suggestion on my phone, which I've got just here. See, I always have it with me. Anyway, the article described that scientists in Australia or Tasmania had cracked the numbat, or the numbat genetic code, and numbats are by far technically the closest relative, if you will, to the thylacine. And the reason they were putting it on the news was because they thought that by unlocking its genetic code, they could then use that to work getting closer to cloning the thylacine itself. And then even better news turned up when everything suddenly shifted. A whole company, I think I learned this tonight actually, that a company in Australia, a scientific group or whatever, had been given a grant of $5 million Australian dollars to build a entire lab, if you will, to try and bring back the thylacine, not just like 1 or 2 animals, but to physically bring the whole species back to then eventually reintroduce them to like Tasmania. And that's what's really got me hopeful. The idea that in my lifetime we could actually see these animals again in life, in real life, not these old videos or whatnot. You can actually physically see them and actually physically recognize them, not as black and white, but by their color, by their actual living breath. And that's just got me truly hopeful, and I really hope they are very successful. But I want to go a bit more into detail because this has got me thinking, and on extinction of the thylacine and my perspective on whether or not it being extinct. And I want to go into a bit more detail on the extinction itself. So Australia and Tasmania had the thylacine for tens of thousands of years. It's suspected that some populations lived in the areas like Papua New Guinea, but the Australia and Tasmania were the primary areas where they lived. And sadly, over time, they gradually got lower and lower. Like in Australia, the dingo was introduced, and they outcompeted the thylacine. And I'll go more to detail a bit more later on with that. But with Tasmania, the Tasmanian population survived until the 1930s, when the last one was believed to have died in a zoo in Australia. But the population is believed by many to have survived in hiding in the wilderness of Tasmania. And by far, it's by one of the most successfully well-known extinct animals, because people believe they see these things. And I recently got rehooked actually into this by another YouTuber called Cookie, and I'll leave a link down below. Now, Cookie's a good YouTuber. I watch him a lot, okay? He goes into a lot of detail on everything, okay? He does a lot of nature ones, and I really do like him. He's a good chap. I haven't met the guy, but I know people when I like him. And Cookie's the kind of guy I like. Cookie, if you're watching this, I want you to know I'm a subscriber and a liker to your videos. Please keep them rolling out. And like you, I'm a believer of the Thylacine, so keep up the fight, brother. Now, in one of his videos, he talked a lot about the Thylacine in many of his videos, and he goes into a lot of detail. Like I said, I believe in the link down below. Now, on my opinion, now it's my opinions actually, and the first thing I want to get out of my head and through to you guys is what extinction is relevant here, and that's one of the primary things I have going when it comes to the Thylacine. It's like, for example, there's two kinds of extinction, I believe, when it comes to the Thylacine: functional and regional, or that's what I refer to it as. And I'm going to go into more detail with specific areas. Okay, the first one I want to talk about is Australia, and I know a lot of people see or claim to have seen thylacines on Australia, but in all honesty, I'm sorry, but in my heart and in my head, I think they're extinct in Australia. I don't want to believe that they're extinct completely, and I know a lot of people are going to contest this, but me personally, without physical, hardline, undeniable proof that they are still alive in Australia, it's just not going to work for me. I'm sorry. I think in Australia, they are extinct, and the reason is the primary focus is dingoes. Dingoes have been in Australia for I think around 3,000 years or so, and that's a lot of time. And dingoes outcompeted the thylacine because the thylacine and the dingoes hunted the same things. They hunted the kangaroos, they hunted the wombats and the wallabies and everything. But the dingoes were better at them because they were adapted to hunting animals that were completely different animals elsewhere. So if you imagine, say, this is the thylacine, this is the dingo. When the dingoes came along, they simply did this. Over time, they just basically kicked the Tasmanian Tiger to the brink in Australia, and then eventually they just simply died because they went extinct in Australia. And that is what I regard as a regional extinction. They died off in Australia because of competition. And even if, I know there's a lot of talk, like ifs and whats and buts, but my but is time. Close to 3,000 years is a long time. Okay. In Tasmania, they were claiming there were reports of sightings of the Tasmanian tiger within just a few years, within a few decades of them going extinct. But in Australia, it's only in more recent times that people are claiming to see them or showing grainy footage, as Cookie puts it, potato camera footage. And that's my big thing. And that's actually one of the big things I've got. Both time, dingoes. You've also got packs of feral domestic dogs that have gone wild in Australia, that escaped and ran wild and are now killing and scavenging local wildlife and such like that. And there's also the matter of the hype. I think in Australia, the reason people are seeing Tasmanian tigers is because they want to see them. They are seeing them, but they're not there. It's like they see like a cat or a dog running around, and they just want to believe it's a thylacine. But like I said, it's been over 3,000 years. How can they have lived that long and not gone unnoticed? I know a lot of animals have gone unnoticed, but Australia is a place where people have lived for tens of thousands of years. Okay, and there's been a lot of exploration to Australia. people going out into the bush, people go out into the wilderness. I mean, there's gem hunters, mine hunters, there's like the guys who go out and get opals, like those weird rock formations, and sell them. So people are going to see them more often, or people are going to say, oh yeah, well, I know where they are, they're over there. But not until recently that no one's been seeing them. It's not until now that people start seeing them in Australia. So I think that's just the hub, the great sway of people wanting them to be there, or the cash grab, if you know what I mean. Oh, I saw a Tasmanian tiger. You can talk to me about it, but it's going to cost you. So in my heart and in my head, I'm sorry, but I have to say, Australia, I think they're extinct. I truly am sorry, but they're extinct. Tasmania, on the other hand, I have to regard as a possible. It's a possible because they're the last place that they were known to have lived. The last animals were known to have lived there wild. I know the last living one died in a zoo, but the last living wild thylacines lived in Tasmania. Those are the last recorded ones. And a lot of hunting took out most of the population, and there's a lot of thought that a number of them may have survived by going into the hills, into the highlands, into the forests, into the unexplored areas, if you will. So like I said, it's a great possible. And like I said, Tasmania has a history of them, and there's a lot of protected areas in Tasmania, so there's a lot of good deal safety there, if you know what I mean. There's a lot of possibilities. There's a lot of places in Tasmania where no one has gone. But on regards to the thylacine itself, I would have to regard them as possibly a functionally extinct, because the populations are most likely going to be segregated and separate. And I want to go into a bit of detail here of why I feel that is very much important. Years ago, I watched a documentary on a local cougar population in North America. Okay, these Yanks, I apologise for the way I say anything, I'm a European, sorry, but there was a Yankee documentary of a group of scientists that focused on a group of scientists studying two different populations of mountain lions, cougars, pumas, whatever you want to call them, but it was two populations that had been separated by a highway, or a motorway, as we would refer to it over here. And the scientists were studying both populations and the impact of the highway in between. One population, so say the one on this side, was regarded as healthy because it was connected to other populations in other parts of the country, in other parts of the area. So it was regarded as healthy. They took blood samples, they took hair samples, they measured the animals, they weighed them when they could. They did a full health checkup and everything. And on regards, the animals were regarded as healthy. The population was regarded as healthy. But on the other side of the highway, everything was completely and utterly different. The population was extremely unhealthy because, unlike the other side, this population hadn't any other connection. So that highway had separated them from every other population in North America. Okay, so that meant this genetic pool is closed. It's got no other new genetic diversity coming in. So over time, that population just got gradually worse and worse and worse and worse in all forms. On the one hand, the population was much more had lost a lot of its immunity to disease. A lot of the animals regarded as sickly. A lot of them had genetic deformities. A lot of them even had physical deformities. A lot of them apparently had knotted tails, as I believe they were called, if I recall correctly. Basically, the tip of the tail had clumped like so it was like this, or twisted on itself, so it had become twisted like that. And that's a sign of severe inbreeding. So the animals in that population had been breeding among themselves. So the family had been, in effect, like brothers and sisters, fathers and daughters, mothers and sons, that kind of freaky deaky stuff. Okay, I don't want to talk about that anymore. If that population had been on its own, that would be, in my regard, a functionally extinct population because it couldn't survive on its own. It was only possible for it to survive when a pathway was made underneath that motorway to connect the two populations, and thus allow genetic diversity to begin again. And that's the big thing I have with Tasmania. I want to believe they're there, but I think they're most likely on the brink. They're on the downslope, if you will. It's like, say there's a population of Tasmanian tigers here, and then a population of Tasmanian tigers here. It's going to be very hard for these two populations to interwove and intermingle, because there's roads, there's going to be farms, there's going to be houses, probably going to be towns and villages. There's going to be humans. These animals were hunted constantly for years, generations in Tasmanian tiger speech. So they're going to be ingrained to fear human beings. So if there's anything even remotely relevant to humans or anything like that, they're going to want to avoid that. They're going to want to say, no, we're not going over there. Over there, no, we're not going anywhere near there. There's humans over there. They can kill us. They could hunt us. So they're going to stay where it's relative, where they feel safe. And that's what I'm making those populations slowly just shrivel up until the point at the night that they can't survive. There's not enough genetic diversity for them to thrive anymore within their populations. So, as I said, in summary, with Tasmania, I want to believe they're still out there. My heart is telling me there is. My mind is shaky without any proper proof, which is not being helped by some parties, like some groups claim to have photos or whatever of thylacines and then claiming they have thylacines, but it turns out it can't be because they're not looking at them right. If they are there, I would have to regard them as functionally extinct, because the populations are too fragmented, they're too divided, they can't stay where they are, and it's becoming a point where they're not going to be able to survive for much longer. Now, finally, we have the regards of Papua New Guinea. Now, this was actually only brought to my attention by Cookie again. I know I'm saying his name a lot, but a lot of the information, a lot of the revamp, if you will, is coming from information that he's given to the world. You know, he's found this stuff online, he's found this piece of information on articles or whatever, and he tells his viewers, as I've said, I'm a viewer. And in one video, he spoke of the possibility of Papua New Guinea, and that actually got me curious, so I actually started looking into it myself. Now, Papua New Guinea was once actually linked to Australia via a land bridge during the Ice Age, I believe it was. So there was a bridge of land stretched from Papua New Guinea. So say this is Papua New Guinea, it stretched from Papua New Guinea down into Australia, to where the tip is of Australia, of northeast Australia. So the thylacines could manoeuvre back and forth if they wanted to, and there is actual proof of this. There's fossilised evidence of thylacines actually living in Papua New Guinea. I believe a fossil skull was found in a cave, I believe it was. So it is a possibility. You know, they were there before, why can't they be there now? And there's more. Papua New Guinea is regarded by some scientists as by far the least explored island in the world. This is a massive island just covered in thick jungles, okay? There's thick jungle, there's forests, there's deep gorges, there's mountain ranges that are near impassable. There's also regards of other things, okay? New species are found there every single day. Okay, in jungles, people are finding new species every time they go out there. Scientists go there, they find new things, or they discover new ways in which animals are living there. And even more recently, de-extinction has happened. If you look at the New Guinea singing dog, that was an animal that was believed to be extinct, and yet it's still alive. Populations have been surviving in those mountains, the mountains of Papua New Guinea, for years, and people just gave up. It's this amazing thing. No one's seen anything, they must be extinct. I'm sorry if you're getting about the hundreds of thousands of locals who claim they see these things every day. But there is one thing. When it comes to the thylacine, locals do claim to see a creature they call the Dopsenia. Now, some scientists actually got curious about this and looked into it. One of them is the guy I rather like, Forrest Galante. He's done a few documentaries. One series was on Extinct or Alive, which I rather enjoyed, where he physically actually went out and searched for animals that been declared extinct but might actually possibly still be alive, and he had quite a lot of success. He and a bunch of other scientists have experimented with Papua New Guinea on regards to the thylacine and the so-called Dopsenia. One scientist actually showed photographs of animals to a basically local tribesman, if you will. He asked them, say, okay, stop me when you say which one is the creature you call the Dobsenia. He showed them apparently all kinds of things. He showed them dogs, he showed them cats, he apparently showed them an image of a tiger, he showed them the New Guinea singing dog, he showed them dingoes, and then he showed them a picture of the Thylacine from the 1933, I think, footage. I think it was from 1933, the infamous video footage. And all of the villagers, Dobsenia, that's the Dobsenia. They picked that out, and it wasn't like, oh, he's tempting them. He's trying to get the idea of what, trying to point them in that direction. He didn't even tell them what he was after. He simply said, describe the Dobsenia. He showed the pictures. They all pointed that. Everyone picked the Thylacine snippet. How can you argue with that? I mean, I know people could talk and all, but Papua New Guinea is a big place with a lot of tough terrain, and it's so underexplored, which gives my opinion a huge maybe for the Thylacine. We know they were there. We've got fossil evidence to prove that they've been there. There was once a land bridge connecting them to Australia. There's possible sightings by local people all the time. New species are found there, and an extinct animal's already been found there. So why can't it be the same for the Thylacine? It's a great possibility, and that is why I think with Papua New Guinea, it's a big possible thumbs up. Now, in summary, Australia, I have to believe that in Australia, they are definitely extinct. Tasmania, I would have to put as a high possible, like a mid-level thumbs up. A lot of reports, but a lot of grainier reports. I want to believe they're possibly there, but if they are there, they're on the downward slope. Papua New Guinea, I would have to say a possible, maybe, definite thumbs up. As I said, guys, I want to truly believe that the Thylacine is still definitely out there. I believe in my heart that the Thylacine is not extinct, okay? I want to get that once more into your skulls. I want to believe they are not extinct. So anyone who challenges me that, I'll challenge you right back, alright? I'll get on to you. But I believe that at the level they're at, certain places are better than others. I really hope you guys enjoy this video, and I really hope you would want to see more of this. If you want me to do one, please leave a like down below, and if you like, subscribe. If you really like, leave a comment. If you want to see me do a specific animal that you deem not to be extinct, leave a comment below. I'll look into it. If I believe it, might possibly be something there. Or I'll do a discussion about it. I'll talk about it. I'll find some information. I'll relay it to you guys. Cheerio, guys.